Here it is, everybody. The 50-day moving average crossing above the 200. That blue line crossing above that red line, that is the bullish move. This, to me, indicates the beginning of something incredibly special on the long-term crypto charts. It's happening right now on Bitcoin. This just happened minutes ago. And in the last half of this video, we're going to talk about the bullish case for Bitcoin and crypto in the shorter term. But I want to spend the first half of this video talking about the unsettling truth that I think many people are ignoring, and they've been ignoring for a couple of weeks. And I want to start here, and this is on the monthly chart. So this is Bitcoin monthly candle. You see huge resistance right now at this blue line, the 50-month moving average, huge resistance. And the reason why that's so notable is because when we zoom out on these Bitcoin charts, and this is the monthly chart, we notice one thing. Bitcoin has never traded below the 50-month moving average until this bear market. And so Bitcoin has never contested with it to get back above it. And so from a macro perspective, you can see even in the last bear market, Bitcoin seeing support right above that area. So this is a very big resistance area, but it's what's happening in this wick. What's happening when we start zooming in on this story. And so we can zoom in by going to the weekly chart, and here's where we are. This is opposite of what we just looked at on the daily chart. This is the 50-week moving average falling below the 200-week moving average. This is a move getting ready to happen. So this could be identified as equally bearish if we're not really digging into the data. I want to explain something very important right now, though. When I look at this chart, I look at this move on the weekly as the end, a picture of the end of something terrible, namely the bear market that we just went through. And if we go to the daily, this is the beginning of something really incredible on the macro chart. The reason why that is because I really think that the bottom range for Bitcoin is here. The worst is over, the bear market. And so even if this 50-week falls even below the 200-week for some time, even if there's resistance, which is what we're speaking about in the first half of this video, there's resistance at these moving averages. There's resistance at this 50-month moving average. Even if that happens and Bitcoin falls and kind of plummets in the shorter term, it's this chart that matters. This is the beginning of something special. And so Bitcoin can fall on the weekly. The 50-week moving average can fall below the 200-week moving average. But if this is the end of the bear market and even if we're sideways for a while, this will turn around, and this whole thing is a picture of the worst being over in my view. That's number one. But what I really want to talk about is something I mentioned 12 days ago in a video. Take a quick look at this clip. And these moves happen. I see markets, they think it's just never, these pumps will never end, and they do end. And sometimes it's a little after maybe when I would anticipate it, and it actually does keep going, right? Maybe there's another leg up. Maybe we hit 25,000, but then it ends, right? And maybe I'm like a couple weeks, maybe I'm talking about a couple weeks too soon, but that big fall happens. So that's what I want to talk about in the first half of this video, because there's things happening on the charts that I just simply can't ignore. Same type of things happening when I did a video back there. Now, I did that video. If we're looking at the daily chart, you can see here, I did this video over here on January 25th, around 12 days ago. Bitcoin almost at a very similar price as it is right now. Now, here's what's happening. We did go a little bit higher, we didn't get that fall. When I talked about it, obviously, we went a little higher. Right now, we're consolidating once again. Remember, in the last half of this video, we're going to look at the bullish case for Bitcoin, really stemming from this 6-hour chart. I'm going to break it down for you. Make sure you hit that like button for me and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. But the downside scenario is so in play right now, and I wanted to take this opportunity, beings the daily, this 20-day moving average is being broken to the downside. I wanted to take this opportunity to discuss this. We want to see Bitcoin pulled into the 20-day moving average, this green line, but we really want to see support above that area. So this next day, important, but the reason why this has been kind of a huge warning for us is this. We go to the daily momentum oscillator. These lower highs of momentum that we have seen on this momentum oscillator, slower moving momentum oscillator, amidst this Bitcoin chart where Bitcoin was putting in higher highs. So we have higher highs on the Bitcoin chart, and then we have lower highs on the momentum oscillator. Bitcoin clearly has been running out of steam, and it's just a very notable warning on the Bitcoin charts. In any market environment, bear, bull, if you're just strictly looking at the data, I think putting this motion aside, it's very clear what's happening here. So that's why I always say anticipate some downside. This is just how I see the charts. This is my approach to things. It's not because I'm bullish or bearish. It's not because I'm pessimistic, right? But it's just because these are just setups that happen all the time. Now, another key reason why I would prepare for downside is just the very fact that we are getting this 50-day moving average crossing above the 200-day moving average. It's a very bullish move on the zoomed out. This is huge. This is the pivot point. It's happening before our eyes for Bitcoin, for crypto. But that doesn't mean a fall to this area to, at the very least, support it would be a bearish thing. A fall of that magnitude is not even that big of a retracement. From where it is right now, we're looking at around 13% to that area. But the really big area that I just want to throw out there, and then we're going to zoom in on the charts for Bitcoin and look at the bullish case for Bitcoin and this kind of last hope scenario for Bitcoin on the short term for just continued upside. Before we look at that, this is the area I have to continue reminding myself of. It's the swing low that we put in November to the swing high most previously, and it's this retracement area, and it's a Fibonacci higher low area. We have a 618 right around 19,000, let's just call it, and we have a 786 down here at around 17,200, 17,300. And that yellow line is a huge macro 786 retracement area. It is our bear market indicator, our bear market low indicator. It's the last bear market. I'm zoomed all the way out in the daily to the bull market high. And look at this. That's a 786 macro retracement that we have tracked for so long on this YouTube channel. Bitcoin previously bottoming below it. And it's so interesting to me that right now on the short to midterm charts, we have a 786 at the same exact area. That area is just very much in play for me as I stare and watch these Bitcoin charts and these crypto markets, because we're in this macroeconomic environment where everything's really up in the air. We don't really exactly know what narratives are going to be thrown at us next week, let alone next month. And so we need to prepare for downside scenarios. Now let's pivot and just talk about, and there's the downside scenarios. It's the uncomfortable truth, the unsettling thing I just wanted to talk about because I think it's important. This is huge and important for me as a crypto investor, but the upside, this 6-hour chart, two things I want to mention. We talked about the breakout to the downside in yesterday's video. Now, we have a breakout target to around $20,000, just above $20,000 to the downside. What we discussed was the pullback, right? We get a really nice pullback rate on these setups. So this is the first part of that last hope for Bitcoin. We want to see Bitcoin potentially get this pullback. It could even happen in the short term. It could happen tonight, overnight, tomorrow morning. And we want to see it break into this apex, and we want to see this rising wedge kind of turn into a busted pattern, meaning this breakout, kind of a fake breakout, right? So we get the breakout to downside, the pullback, and then breakout explosion to the upside. And this bull run continues, especially for those perma bulls, the hopium enthusiasts out there. And this is just something I'm tracking, a pullback to, at the very least, right around $23,000 to $24,000. Is there resistance there? Because remember, a pullback alone isn't a bullish thing. A break through the trend line is the bullish thing. We want to monitor to see if there's resistance here, meaning we get the pullback, there's resistance, and then we're continuing down. These things take longer than we would really like them to take, right? If we get a breakout to downside, it would be nice if we're just like, hey, the next day we're hitting our target. It just never happens like that. There's volatility along the way. There's unknown along the way. And it takes a while, and there's no guarantee that it even happens in the first place. But these things and these consistencies do happen often. The second reason why there could be some hope for Bitcoin, it actually is on this chart. This is the US dollar currency index. Bitcoin's been down, right? Stock market even down. Why? Look at this. This is US dollar making a little run, right? So when this happens, these risk-on assets, they tend to fall. That's what's kind of happening right now. But what is happening on this daily chart on the US dollar currency index is this. We're getting some green candles. We broke the 20-day. Right now, we're hitting the 50-day. And not only that, we're hitting this lower high resistance. So swing high back here, and that is in January, beginning of January, to swing low. Right now, this dollar making a run to this lower high resistance. So this is kind of a potential bullish setup. If this whole thing runs out of steam right here, right? As Bitcoin is trying to make a move back up to this pattern and this lower trend line for a breakout to the upside, this could be the picture perfect scenario where it happens, meaning there's resistance here on this US dollar currency index chart, resistance, and then it's actually coming back down and it's falling. whether it's a high or low falling or if it's new lows on this chart, doesn't matter. It's very normal for this drawback to the 50-day moving average. We see this kind of in a bearish environment, meaning lower lows, lower highs. We see these drawbacks to the moving averages. We want to see this happen on any chart because the same is true in bullish environments, right? Here's still the US dollar currency index. What's happening? These drawbacks to these moving averages. These are the moves we want to see, but we want to see a bounce off of them, right, for continuation. So in this case, to the downside, we really want to see, if you're a Bitcoin holder, we really want to see just a bounce off of this 50-day moving average and lower high Fibonacci resistance to the downside. That would be the setup for an explosive move to the upside, likely for Bitcoin. So there's a lot being thrown here, right? There's opportunity for upside, opportunity for downside. But at the end of the day, everybody, it's simply because nobody knows. I don't sit here on YouTube trying to predict what's going to happen next. I sometimes give you my opinions on what I think will happen, but at the end of the day, I have targets that I wait for, confirmations that I wait for, signals that I wait for, and I'm just here tracking that data with you. I hope it's valuable to you. I hope my opinion is entertaining to you at the very least. And if it is, hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and please let me know in the comments below, what do you think about this Bitcoin move? What do you think is next for Bitcoin and crypto? I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.